Welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm gonna make and can spaghetti sauce. It starts out just like any tomato canning you've seen me doing. Tomato sauce. I'm gonna cook this down as much as possible for about a couple of hours or even more, because right now this is pretty liquidy, right? We want to make this thick into a nice spaghetti or pizza sauce. The tomato sauce is ready for be part of the spaghetti sauce that I'm gonna make. It reduced at least a third, and it's still gonna be cooking with the vegetables, so it will reduce even further. I'm gonna start with 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And I'm gonna start sauteing some onions. This is about 3 cups of chopped onions. For the amount I'm gonna make, I'm gonna put in a tablespoon of salt. And of course at the end, before I can it, I'm gonna taste it. I'm gonna saute the onions for a while because I want its sweetness to be part of the sauce. And I also want it to kind of dissolve in the sauce instead of being too chunky. So that's gonna probably take about 10 minutes, and in the meantime I'm gonna be stirring it. So I'll be back when I'm happy with the onion. My onions are nice and yellow and sauteed for 10 minutes. Next thing you want to do is add a bunch of crushed garlic. I have about 2 tablespoons of crushed garlic. I'm going to saute that for about 30 seconds. And this is the time where you would add any additional vegetables you want in your spaghetti sauce, because technically this is all you really need with the tomato sauce. And we will put basil toward the end, but I'm gonna put some peppers in this because I want to have a nice thick sauce. So I chopped up 2 cups of sweet peppers. At this point you can put in mushroom, any kind of other vegetable that you would like to have, zucchini, anything like that from your garden. I'm gonna keep sauteing the peppers with the onion and garlic for about another 10 minutes, and we'll be back. I have sauteed the peppers with the onion and garlic for 10 minutes, and at this point I'm gonna put in some tomato paste, and this is optional, but you probably want to put in a small can of tomato paste. That will deepen the flavor and make it also thicker. And I'm going to saute the tomato paste a little bit for about a couple of minutes. In the meantime, I chopped about a half a cup of fresh basil. If you don't have fresh basil, then you can certainly use dried basil. A big tablespoon of dried basil you're probably going to need at least, and you can obviously put more if you like. In addition to the basil, you can put in parsley. So I don't have celery, but I do have celeriac dried from earlier this year. A little bit of that. I'm going to put a little bit of dried parsley, a good pinch. And I'm going to put in my fresh basil. I'm going to take a little bit of this tomato sauce. And I'm going to mix this all nicely, because what I'm going to do is take this mix and dump it into my tomato sauce that's been boiling down. take some more sauce and just wash out my pot. Make sure I got all the flavor. Now I have the vegetables in here, which is again the sautéed onion, garlic, green peppers, sweet peppers, right? And then I have my herbs, basil, celeriac leaves, and parsley. And some people put oregano in here as well, so feel free to flavor it to your liking. So as you can see, the sauce is pretty thick already with all these ingredients, but I'm gonna cook this a little bit longer while I'm working on other things, and then we're gonna can these up into jars. So come back in a little bit. Here's my canner getting ready for canning. I put in the recommended amount of water that comes up to the first line. I did put a splash of vinegar in the water so my jars will not cloud up outside. I will start heating this up as soon as I have my jars ready to go. The oven is on 215. I have my jars in there heating up. I will sterilize these for 15 minutes. I have my spaghetti sauce still bubbling away a little bit so it can thicken even more. I keep an eye on that. Occasionally I have to come and make sure it doesn't scorch, because when it's so thick it could easily do that. My canner water is boiling. I have added some sugar into my spaghetti sauce. I put in 3 heaping tablespoons because I tasted it and I felt it was too acidic. So taste your sauce before you can it. Make sure you have enough salt, enough seasoning, and this is the time to adjust. My jars are almost done, so I'm gonna get ready with my equipment. I have some hot water. I'm gonna put in 6 lids because I'm gonna be canning in 2 stages. I only have so much space here. I have this tool to move the jars around. This is to take it out of the oven. I have a wet paper towel to wipe off the jar's rim so the seal can occur better. I have my clean funnel and 11 rings that I'm going to use. So the first round I'm going to need 6. I'm going to put these into the hot water too because I like everything the same temperature. The jar is going to be hot, the sauce is going to be hot, the lids are going to be hot, and the canner is also hot. So let's get started. I'm going to put down a kitchen towel so the hot jars don't touch the cold countertop. And I'm going to start taking out the sterile jars from the oven. Start with 6 pint size, and I'm doing pints only because that's how I use it. I don't ever need more than a pint at once, and I hate to open a quart and put it in my fridge because there's leftovers, right? So that's why I'm doing these smaller sizes. I'm gonna use this measuring cup to actually ladle the sauce into the jars. It's just gonna make it faster than trying to use a ladle. And it might be a little bit more messy, but we'll see. I'm gonna fill the jars 1/2 inch from the top, which is the bottom of my funnel. I'm gonna come back to these because it's easier to fine-tune them when I don't have too much in my measuring cup. There we go. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, and you don't really have to do that, I just want to be careful, and I'm gonna stir them because I want to get any bubbles out if there was any. Usually these type of things don't trap bubbles, but I just want to be careful because I don't want siphoning to occur. Next, I'm going to be wiping off the mouth of each jar, the rims mostly, but also the threads, so everything can nicely fit. Especially when you're canning something that has oil in it, it's oily like this is. As you can see, it is dirty. Squeaky clean. Okay, go again just to be sure. Once I have cleaned them, then I'm going to take out the jar lids from the water. And then I'm going to start attaching the rings. Sort of do like a assembly line here. You only tighten the ring so the lid is held down tightly to the jar. And I'm gonna take this first and put it into the canner. So tighten only so the lid is held down. And then you grab it carefully. And put it into the canner. And it's okay if the jars are touching, but the jars are not touching the bottom of the canner because there's an insert that's keeping them off just slightly off the bottom. So here's the next one. Into the canner. Number 4 into the canner. Number 5 into the canner. And number 6. So I don't know if I'm gonna have enough to fill maybe 3 more jars. So I'm gonna take out 3 jars. And repeat the process. I might start using a ladle at this point because there's not much in there. It's kind of funny how it ends up being just full. Here we go, it's empty. Again, I'm just gonna stir the bubbles out if there's any. I'm gonna wipe this off nicely again. The rinse and the threads. Careful, it's hot. And then there goes the lids. And start putting the rings on into the canner. Into the canner, and the last one. Into the canner. So I ended up only with 9 jars. So I'm gonna turn up the heat now. Make sure your lid is well maintained, your seal is nice and clean, or your vents are clean, nothing is blocking them, especially this vent, which will vent out the steam. Mine has also a meter, and just follow the instructions of your canner. Go ahead and lock my canner. I turn up the heat high, and the first stage that we have to do for our canner is going to be venting it. The venting will take 10 minutes, but first you have to have a steady stream of steam. Will have to come out this spout before we start timing the 10 minutes for the venting process, and that's important because the venting process pushes out the air that allows you to build up pressure within the canner. You see this valve just popped up, so this is when I'm going to time my steam, the venting, but I'm going to turn the heat down to medium, and I turn on my timer, and once this has vented for 10 minutes, then I'm gonna put the weight on it, the 10-pound weight. So we'll be back. So now that my canner had vented for 10 minutes, I'm gonna take my weight. This came with my canner. Put that on, and at this point, I'm gonna turn the heat all the way up, almost to the highest. This did not take long at all. If you paid attention to the clock, I have no idea how long it's been, but probably less than 5 minutes. We are up to 10. It's already beyond 10. I'm going to turn down my heat, and usually my heat needs to be like right between the lowest setting and simmer. to maintain 12 pounds. So I'm gonna take a look. We are already at 12. So I'm gonna start timing because technically I could have started timing at 10. For the pints, it will take 20 minutes to can the spaghetti sauce because it's mostly tomato. If you're canning quarts, that will take 25 minutes. So we'll be back when this is done canning. This will be a quick one. Okay, time is up. It's been 20 minutes since I started canning on a 12-pound pressure. I'm just gonna turn off my stove, and now we're just gonna wait an hour or so for this to cool off, where the pressure gonna go all the way to 0. That little bob's gonna drop, and then it's gonna be safe to take the weight off and to open the can. But you really should wait until almost totally cool, because even though the pressure goes down, it's still hot, so you have to be extremely careful. I'll be back when it's time to take the jars out of the canner. It's been an hour and a half since I turned off my stove, and as you can see, the pressure is 0. This valve is in a down position. I'm going to take off the weight. Nothing's coming out of it, no steam, right? So I'm gonna open the canner very slowly and away from my face because it's still hot. If you touch it, this would take probably overnight to actually cool off totally, and I'm not gonna wait that long. So I'm gonna open it so carefully. Again, I'm gonna do it away from my face, so as I lift it up, I'm going to turn it this way and put it down on the countertop. So the lids are already popping because it's cooling off rapidly. Some people might tell you not to take it out this early, but I'm going to take it out because I'm going to go to bed and I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night to deal with this. So I'm going to take them out very carefully and put them onto a towel on the other side of my kitchen. So here I have the 9 pints of delicious, beautiful spaghetti sauce. Let these cool off totally, and tomorrow morning, by that time it's all cool, then I'm gonna remove the rings because I don't store them with the ring, and by that time you don't need the ring because they did their job. And I'm gonna wipe the jars to make sure that there are no particles left from the canning process. Make sure they're nice and clean, and then I'm gonna label them with the date and what's in it and take them to the pantry. I hope you enjoyed this process with me, and I'll see you next time.